The goal of the ATG split squat is just a pain-free full bend. It's smartest to start with your front foot elevated, and you'll see why. So there's no way to measure your exact stance. If you want, you could use, a piece of tape or something for yourself, but people have different legs, and as you go lower, you need a longer stance because you go farther. So over time, you'll just get used to knowing where to stand. And if you look at my stance, I'm still hip width apart here. I'm not trying to stand on a rope. And when I do it, I'm not trying to open out, which would be an avoidance of the stretch and an avoidance of the weight there. I'm trying to have my foot straight. If anything, my mentor would use this exercise with figure skaters and people who need extreme flexibility. He would actually turn the toe out or the heel out. So a heel out position is okay because it's keeping that stretch, but going here would be cheating it. Now let's take a look. A pain-free full bend. It is so rare for someone to have two identical knees. I have different operations and shit in this left knee than I do in the right. So just double-legged squats never got the job done for me. In this bottom position, I want a perfectly erect torso, which puts more weight on the front leg, and I don't want the back knee to touch the floor. So you see leaning forward and back knee bending means less weight on the front. It doesn't mean the back knee has to be totally straight. You just don't want it to touch the floor, and you want the torso vertical. Every exercise we do, I'll show you what it looks like from this side, has black and white form. There's no gray areas. And with this one, the torso stays erect, the back knee does not touch the floor, and the front hamstrings completely cover the calves. So most people will need to rock. Okay, I'm not just trying to get it there. For the sake of knee ability, I'm actually trying to put my weight on the ball of the foot. So this is a knee ability style split squat. It's the weight going onto the ball of the foot to get as much coverage as possible. You can feel it when you can't cover it anymore. And you're gonna do 5 to 10 of these per side. It may be so difficult that just 5 at a time is enough at first. You're not in a rush, and you can even use something starting out to balance on the inside of you. So you could start it here, and you could use something to balance. This would be a common way to start. Pain-free, full bend, evening out the muscles between sides. I only found out as a secondary effect, I even got more speed and jumping results out of this because I was able to get a fuller leg workout with much more safety on my back than trying to do squats. But it happens to make you, for someone who struggles with squats, if you think about what it's doing for your flexibility, your ankles, your leg strength, it actually really helps you get to a good squat if you want. But double leg squatting is not necessary for world-class legs and knee ability. But you could, if you have a bar and a squat is something you're trying to drive up, after the split squat, as you'll see in the in-gym knee ability version, that would be the time to squat, though it's optional. Other details on this, if you look at my left knee, I had a lot of different operations on this. When I used to try to go down on this exercise, it would sound like a 4th of July fireworks show in my knee. And now my knee is actually totally noiseless on this. It doesn't mean that crackling is your only indicator of your knees. Pain is your indicator. No working through pain. But the point is, by taking my time, by being under full control, by working one side at a time, I was able to put real strength in its place, and now the crackling is gone. So this is where all I'm trying to do is address the ability of every area that connects to your knees. That's it. No one's ever put a program that comprehensive to address the ability of your knees. Does it have internal effects? A lot of actual doctors doing my program believe it does have internal effects, but I'm not a doctor. That's not my point to say it. But the split squat is the one that I see a lot of crackling, to the point we have to crank up the music in the gym when most guys start out. And then over time, it becomes noiseless, painless, stronger, jumping higher, able to handle forces in life with less pain. And if you think about the additional hip flexor stretching, think about long-term effects. If those hip flexors are tightened, which we all are in today's society, you start getting pain in the middle of your back, pain in your neck. If you have, how do you hold good posture if you have really tight hip flexors? And if the hip flexors are loose, you almost can't have bad posture. So this has really nice secondary effects for your back. Until this one, I was still spending a lot of money at chiropractors. I was even doing double knee squats, step ups, still would throw out my back. This one was a game changer. 5 sets, 5 to 10 reps each side. Unlike any exercise we've done so far, now is the time to take some breaks between sides. And that's because if you look at the back leg, the hip flexors are actually getting a strengthening effect. They're actually pushing down. They're getting a strengthening effect there. So the hip flexor will be tired. So if you just try to go back and forth, you'll notice your hips will be burning. And you're still gonna get the strengthening effect, but I don't want excessive burn to take away from trying to get a muscular challenge. Now, don't think you need to go as heavy on this one as you do on the step up I showed. If you're training from home, the best way is to use a backpack. Something like this is gonna hit the ground, okay? And until you're doing this exercise on flat ground, I don't see much of a reason to be adding weight to it. I would try to get to flat ground first, unless you're like a bodybuilder who's already massive but tight. Only in the case where someone's massive but tight, and not, massive is relative, but if you have a lot of muscle and you're really tight, then I may apply some weights to it to actually pull you down deeper. So there's no wrong answer there, but no working through pain and no rushing the process. This goes into the same family as the step-ups. 10,000 rule, man. 5 sets of 5 to 10, 2 to 3 times a week. So you're talking about 1.5 to 3 year period, and you can do a total transformation. So if we look here with the backpack, I can get some resistance now, pushing me down, having to come out of that position. And then if you did have some dumbbells, you could add weight like that. But this one is gonna be, I think long-term, about 75% of the strength of the step-up exercise. So those are all my tips on the ATG split squat.